Oh, hi there. My name is DizzyIzzy. I don't know how I'm going to start this, so I'm just going to say I'm going to start this off by, this is the series where I'm going to be talking about what it's like for me inside this thing, not my hair, but inside my skull, the brain portion, and just everything. So, God, I don't even know how to begin with this. Starting with childhood, I guess. That was pretty fun, except for meltdowns and many things. I was never good at making eye contact, or that's why I always look away from my lens. I can't just like, no. Don't mind the mess, by the way. Oh, back there and everything, and cat tree. Yeah. Okay. Oh, God. I'm so bad at this. Okay, so I was always quiet as a child. And I don't know how to word this properly. Oh, no. I was always quiet. I had issues communicating. I still do, definitely. Like, I don't know if anybody's noticed, like, delayed reactions or speech or anything in any of my videos, because I notice it a lot more because I am very self-conscious of it. And anyway, I was always very quiet as a child growing up. I would do stuff. I'm not entirely sure why. Did I just hear a beep? I don't know. Maybe I'm going crazy too. I'm already crazy technically, so whatever. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so growing up I was always scientific, I guess, too logical or emotional. I was both, everything, but I never fit in. I was always weird. I took all of my stuff apart. I would do weird things, and I was extremely intelligent for my age. And I never had friends or anything like that at my age because I didn't understand how, say, like, someone would be in a group together and they'd be talking and laughing. Even if it's like something that I knew at the time was like Pokemon. I fucking loved Pokemon. And I couldn't fit in. It felt really weird. And I was always made fun of for it, even when I did try to fit in, because they knew I had no fucking idea how. Even though we had the same things in common and stuff, some people would actually end up taking advantage of that and using me, and most of the time I actually didn't know better, so I'd end up, like, you know, giving them things and stuff like that, because that's what I interpreted friendship as. I'm still not entirely sure, although I do understand that it's not wanting them to disappear and stop being your friends. So, like, my best friend, like, I've known him for a while now, and yeah, I talk to him a lot. So, but not fitting in was a big issue for me. The screaming and crying, bloody freaking murder was also not good. Like, we would end up actually having police called to our house because the neighbors would think that I was being murdered or abused or something, because I would screech and scream and do many things like that. That was not fun. Doctors basically just called that ADHD, which, I mean, I wasn't exactly doing it for the attention, because there are many things that I did end up doing during those episodes which I either had no I mean, I did have memory of, but at the same time I would just feel completely awful, like why the hell did I do that? I didn't mean to do any of that, because it's like being trapped in my own head, my emotions being trapped, my mouth not conveying the words of what I want to say properly. And that's generally how it is. Even like right now, it's sort of okay, because I'm at home in a slightly controlled environment, aside from really windy weather and hurricane coming this way. But yeah. So I was labeled ADHD for that, even though I would claw myself until the point where I was bleeding, beat my head against things, end up screaming and saying many nasty things to my mother, and just everything along those lines. And it was horrible when I think about it. And it's just like, why did I do that? I don't know. I would open my window, but there's people outside and they're doing things, and it's just like, I don't know. I don't want to be like the weird person just talking to myself. I'm not talking to myself. I understand this. Crap, it's already 6 minutes in the video. Wow, what the hell am I even talking about? So, again, I was always very quiet. I had major meltdowns. I would often get in trouble for things that I really had no idea why I did. Like, I would, rather than play with my toys that I would always get as a child, I would end up taking them apart completely and trying to put them back together. I would get in trouble for this all the time. And it's like, why did you do this? I don't know. I mean, I understand now it's because I like to see how things function, but at the time, whenever I would say I don't know because I truly didn't understand why, I would get called a liar and grounded and in trouble, all this amazing jazz and junk. But it was then, and my stimming back then was very very unique. I would scratch everywhere. Like, there was one point where I had a rash all over my body because that was just what I did. I completely I would always rip up my shirts and tear them. That's why I prefer shirts like this with, like, I don't know if you know what kind of shirts these are, but that's why I wear shirts like this, because I can't like pick at them and stuff, because I still kind of do with my other shirts. And that was I'd wear collared shirts too, and I'd like chew on the collars all the time until there was basically no collar left. That was that was basically how I'd stim a lot. And there was an area on my stomach that I'd scratch constantly, especially at school, because school is extremely stressful. All these noises, I just wanted to figure stuff out, do things. I never understood homework because logically it made no sense if I already understood what I was doing. But most of the time I couldn't really understand, and that's due to all the information intake coming in. So I'd end up scratching, stimming a lot, making random noises, and just the teacher would label me as a distraction, say I was ADHD, so sent me to a doctor, which by the way was a horrible doctor, and he put me on so many different medications for ADHD, which none of them did any good for me whatsoever. So you'd think that would be a bigger sign to say, hey, maybe there's something wrong with this. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's not ADHD. So he kind of labeled me as depressed because I was like 6 or 7 or 5, I can't remember. One of the times, like, I was having a meltdown and I was about to kill myself because I had no control over myself, and I was... when I say no control, I mean like no actual control. I mean, I've gotten a lot better over the time. Now it's just I cry and rage and everything, and it's not fun. So he ended up putting me on this medication that basically zombified me. which I was on for a good few years, which explains some of the other things that go on in my mind, which I'm not gonna really say in my videos because it's a little personal and weird. So yeah, that was fun. And so basically, skipping through all that was basically it for the childhood. I never fit in. I was always quiet, never made eye contact. I was super monotone all the time. My meltdowns were just all the time. Everything. I don't look at the big picture for everything. I end up looking at sequential little numbers and how things fit together. That's why I like to take everything apart. I did really weird stuff. So moving on to my teenage years, which was fun because still I was taking off all my medication when I was like 10, I think 10 or 11, which I ended up having to, oh yeah, I was homeschooled most of my life too, because I would constantly have to get taken out of school because my grades would just plummet because I could not pay attention. Anytime I was homeschooled though, I was able to focus, skip ahead, like by skip ahead I mean a few grades worth, and just actually do what I like. I mean, I like to study everything from psychology to calculus just for the fun of it, you know? I know that seems a little weird, but it's fun for me, if that makes sense. So anyway, on my teenage years, which was very confusing, I still didn't really fit in with anyone. I did make a friend though. I made my first actual friend that I hung out with every day. He lived across the street. This was prior to me knowing that I was autistic, and he was autistic. And the weirdest part is, I understood everything that he felt. Like, whenever he would lose control, which was kind of rare, but whenever he would lose control, I knew the feeling, and it was kind of scary at the same time, because it's like I thought I was the only one, and him and I had like same interests and everything. It was pretty cool. Like, we always play, well, yeah, we'd play certain things together, and sometimes I'd watch him play stuff, sometimes he'd watch me play stuff. I really didn't care one way or another. I was just happy to have a friend. And that was pretty neat. Moving on to middle school, that was pretty horrible. I was made fun of a lot. Again, no real friends. He went to a private school, so I didn't really ever see him. I was pulled out of middle school, homeschooled again. At that point, I just gave up because I couldn't, like, I felt that I couldn't do anything anymore. Like, everything was just too much stress, too much expectations, too much everything, and I would just scream and cry and everything, and just, yeah. So I was labeled depressed. I was put on antidepressants, which helped for a while. The only reason they did actually help a tiny bit is because I do have severe paranoia issues as well, and it helped with the paranoia. The paranoia was completely gone, because going to sleep every night feeling like your family is going to murder you is not a good feeling. I'm gonna have to wrap this video up soon, because I only have like 7 minutes left to record this. So I was put on the antidepressants. My meltdowns were still bad, if not worse, because, you know, I wasn't, I mean, I guess I kind of am depressed, but at the same time I'm not. So I was taken off of those because they would mess with my moods even more, because I feel like my emotions come on so strongly, and there's like so many things that can set me off, from like sounds and textures and stuff, which I don't know why anybody overlooked that. It's kind of silly when you think about it. So I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought. After I was taking off my medication, though, I am so sorry this video is all over the place. My mind is just everywhere right now. So I was taking off the medication. I was put into high school for a while, and I surprisingly made friends. I think, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they classified as friends or acquaintances. I was still not exactly very good at deciding that. So that's everybody was nice to me, basically. No one made fun of me anymore. It was just like, okay. I mean, I was weird. I did really, really weird stuff. I would also like to sit alone and just be by myself. I mean, I can kind of see why people got afraid. I didn't really care, though. But I ended up making quite a bit of friends, though. Like, be it anybody who is just either mean before, mean now. They're like, hey, I know I was mean, blah blah blah, and it's just like, sorry about all that. And it's just like, okay, fine, that's cool, thank you for being kind, I guess. Now, I mean, I don't really hold grudges. I have no need to, you know. That's silly. Why would someone hold grudges? I don't understand. Why would anybody hate anyone? That's a big thing that I really don't understand in this world. But anyway, I didn't understand why they were really friends or anything like that. Still don't. I still talk to like quite a bit of them, sort of. But once I got out of high school, I stopped contact with most of them. I still talk to some of them again. And I started working at a pool store, which, oh my god. I only worked part-time, by the way. My meltdowns got 10 times worse. I just couldn't control anything. While I was happy and excited that I was making money, I couldn't do anything, you know. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it very well. I'm gonna have to do that in another video, actually, because of this. I'm saying this while looking at the timer, as if you guys can see 21 minutes out of 17. Wait, 18 out of 21. Anyway, that didn't go over very well. A few years passed, and I was referred. I was actually, my friend, who is a psychologist, and he works with autistic kids, actually. I told him everything. And he's like, dude, go see your doctor. Write all of this down and tell her everything. So I did, and my doctor was like, yeah, it's probably not depression. It's probably something a lot more. So she referred me to a psychologist, which I finally saw the psychologist. The psychologist, by the way, was kind of eh. I saw her. She was like, oh, okay, here. We're going to put you on some antidepressants and some anxiety medications and all this jazz. And she referred me to a therapist as well. Therapist ended up saying, after talking to me for about like 2 hours or so, she's like, yeah, I think you might be autistic. And I'm just like, oh. And I mean, I studied a lot, and I mean a lot. So she referred me back to the psychologist that I was seeing like once a month or something. So I saw her again, and she agreed. And so she referred me to a neuropsychologist for like testing and all that jazz. Neuropsychologist talked to me for about 10 minutes. Told him about my childhood and everything, and he's just like, your doctor's... I mean, basically, he was he was wondering why I wasn't diagnosed earlier, a lot earlier, like I should have been. So he was like, yeah, you're definitely autistic. We're gonna have to like test you. And he was like testing like reflexes and how fast my mind works, like how it works and everything like that. I can't remember all the tests that I took, but I remember one of them was like a 567 question. 500. It's just kind of funny when you think about it. 567 or something along those lines. My memory is horrible. That's another thing I'm going to talk about later. So he did that, and yeah, he was like, okay, yeah, your testing is back, and yeah, you're definitely autistic. And it's just like, oh, okay. So I don't really know what to do from there now, and oh no, the video is gonna end now. So yes, thank you for watching. Goodbye. I will probably finish up on this later. So yes, goodbye.